Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Was Reborn as a Shinigami, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto yawned as he made his way to the Hokage's office. He stretched his arms and cracked his back and forth, trying to get all the kinks out. People walking by him winced when they heard the creak and groan of his bones and muscles pulling and popping, but he paid them no mind. His mind was elsewhere, still on the date with Tenten. It had been wonderful to spend an evening with someone who treated him like a regular person. She didn't hit him on the head once, didn't threaten him, and didn't expect him to go above and beyond just for her enjoyment. Tenten just wanted him to be him. He couldn't wait for the next date. Who knows when that'll be though? Ninja schedules aren't exactly ideal for relationships. Leaving his hammer outside this time to avoid a potentially hazardous run-in with Shizune, Naruto made his way to Tsunde's office. He waved hello to Shizune and walked through the door, closing it behind him with a sigh when he realized the Hokage was out cold and drooling on her desk. Why didn't the woman just put a cot in the room if she was never going to go home? It would be much more comfortable than that chair and desk. Steeling himself for whatever was about to happen, he slunk over beside her chair and gave her a gentle push. Bar-chan, you need to wake up. Come on, wake up. Wakey, wakey, hey you old bee, wake up. Before her reflexes could kick in, Naruto sprung to the ceiling and stuck there with chakra. He was trying not to laugh his ass off as Tsunde looked in every direction but up to find the person who slighted her. That voice had sounded familiar, and if it was who she thought it was, he was still around. Naruto's luck wasn't what it used to be though, and the ceiling tile he had been clinging to broke and he landed in an unceremonious heap on top of her desk. Tsunde smirked and pinned him to the desk by his shoulders. Well, I go to sleep for 5 minutes and it's raining cute little blondes. Little bratty blondes, but cute nonetheless. Let me up, Bar-chan. Now why would I do that? I believe you fell into my lap, not the other way around. Besides, I always wanted a fox as a pet. Don't joke like that please. You know I hate being compared to that bastard. Tsunde huffed and let him up. The boy could take a joke about anything but his fox-like features. It wasn't her fault, they were what made him so unique. Glancing at the clock, she saw it read just a little after 8:30. Raising an angry eyebrow, she sneered at her younger subordinate. Didn't they teach you kids that ninja never show up early? You show up on time, at the exact time. I had another good 30 minutes before Sakura shows up to sleep and you ruined it. I'm sorry, but I wanted to talk to you. Oh, about what? Me and some choices I've made recently. Go on. I've made a conscious decision to stop pursuing Uchiha Sasuke. I won't put my life or the lives of my comrades in danger because of him. What brought this about? And how, exactly, are you talking without sounding like an idiot? It's a gift from Kami. I was never truly stupid, Bar-chan, just ignorant. There's a difference, you know. I can think more clearly now thanks to the gift. It's refreshing to be able to think clearly. Does it have anything to do with your eyes? I don't know. I was starting to think with a clearer head before the eyes, but when I received them it seemed to speed up the process. I don't know if they affected it or not. Is it a dojutsu? I don't think so. I'll have to ask Sanosuke next time I see him. Sanosuke. He's an angel. He gave me my gifts. Tsunde groaned and held her head in both of her hands. Why did this kid have to make everything so complicated? So let me get this straight. Okay. The first day you came in here, you had a war hammer from Kami. You were looking to find your soulmate too, if I remember correctly. How'd that go? Naruto blushed and stared at the ground. Well, I don't know. I've been training with Tenten and we went on a date last night, but I don't know if that means anything. So you and Tenten, huh? One loves to cause trouble, the other loves pointy things. Loves trouble, pointy things, any offspring of theirs? Ugh, the thought is too disturbing. It was just one date. It doesn't mean anything. She asked me. She asked you, huh? Doesn't seem like nothing to me, but hey, that's just me. Getting off your burgeoning romance with a weapons mistress and back to the prior topic, can I meet this Sanosuke? You can meet me if you want to. Two blonde heads immediately whipped to the sight of the brown-haired man, who stood with his arms folded behind his back and a smile on his face. Tsunade couldn't help but think that he reminded her of someone. Naruto wasn't nearly as impressed with his entrance, however. Sanosuke, how in the hell do you do that without letting anyone know you're there? I want to learn to shunshin without smoke. Don't pout, Naruto. It's unbecoming an emissary of Kami, no matter how much she favors you. Tsunade, I see you are well. Hi, I am. And you are the infamous Sanosuke, I presume. Indeed. Care to tell me what exactly is going on with my favorite blonde over here? Sanosuke grinned and took the seat beside Naruto. After situating himself, he focused his attention on Tsunade. Naruto is a very special boy. You knew this already, but he is favored by Kami and is her own shinobi. He is charged with catching a certain tainted soul and bringing it to my master. I can't think of a better person to give this responsibility to. But he has so much already to burden him. Isn't this another thing to the pile that he just doesn't need? Couldn't you have found someone who is a little more responsible? Sanosuke clapped his hand over Naruto's mouth before the boy could protest. He gave the Jinchuriki a steely gaze and turned back to Tsunade, who was astounded by the way he kept the boy in check. Naruto is chosen because he can handle the responsibility. There are few others in the world who could shoulder the burdens he carries and not break under the strain. He is my charge in this world, and although you view him as a soldier under your command, know that he is under mine as well. I will not supersede your orders, but he has other objectives. I have given him gifts to compensate for his earlier misgivings in life, and he shall receive a few more before too long as necessity dictates. What gifts have you given him? Well, the hammer is a given. It's a holy hammer and is uniquely Naruto's. No one else can use it. I'm also currently prodding him along the path to find his love in life, who I'm sure you've guessed by now. His eyes are the most intriguing thing though. Yes, they are. Are they a doujutsu by any chance? No, they are most certainly not. Now you are speaking like a Hokage and less like a concerned family member. I know how much Naruto means to you, Tsunade. Don't let your loyalty to this village cloud your judgment. You need every advantage you can get, yes, but you already have one. I agree. Naruto is a very good asset. Now then, his eyes. Ah yes, his eyes. When he visited Kami, Naruto retained a bit of the calm that Kami emits. It made his mind clearer and he was able to function better. Things he already knew, but had pushed aside, were made readily available to him. You know as well as I do, the boy is an astute student as long as he's interested. Kami gave him the eyes because eyes are a portal to the soul, and as such, he can draw out his other gifts as the time comes when he will need them. How will I know what gifts I'll get though? It's already been ordained that you will receive the gifts as the time dictates, Naruto. I can't tell you any more except that you hold within you nothing but pure potential and a will to succeed. Those are some of the reasons Kami chose you. Now don't worry about your future gifts. You'll know when you get one. How? Your eyes will change more, just like your hammer. They'll evolve to a new state. It's just a matter of time. Tsunade had, by this time, broken out one of her bottles of sake and was partaking of it judiciously. It was to this scene that Sakura walked in. She took note of the blonde and brown hairdos sticking up over the chairs in front of the desk and her master's half-empty sake bottle. Frowning, she strode to the side of the desk. Shushu, what has Shizune told you about drinking in the morning? It's bad for your health. And what in the hell is Naruto doing here? And who are you? Sanosuke turned to Naruto and gave him a small smirk. I see now why you think she's so by Naruto. Not a pleasant lass in the morning in the least. Excuse me, I'd like to hear you repeat that. Tsunade had had enough. This morning was completely shot to hell. She'd lost some of her precious nap time, found out that Naruto was telling the truth all along, and now she had to put up with her by Sakura. A perfect morning indeed. Sakura, take a seat and shut up. I had things to discuss with Naruto and his friend, and no, I will not tell you. Sanosuke, I'd appreciate it if you'd visit me at a later time and we'll swap notes about our charge. Hi, I'd like that. I guess I'll be going now. Good seeing you again, Naruto. A light bulb seemed to come on in Tsunade's head all of a sudden. Sanosuke, before you go, are you the one responsible for this? Her hand swept to encompass Naruto's new look. She appreciated it more and more each time she saw it. Yup, that was me. Are you also responsible for getting rid of that thing? Yup, that was me too. I have some money owed to you then. We've been trying to get him out of that thing for years. Sanosuke just smiled and prepared himself to leave. No charge Tsunade. Use the money to buy some good stuff for our next chat. Besides, it was a service to Kami to get rid of Naruto's former clothing. He disappeared without a trace, leaving a mumbling Naruto and an awestruck Tsunade and Sakura. Seriously, the jumpsuits weren't that bad. After Kakashi arrived 2 hours late, making Naruto seethe and stew, the meeting got underway. Tsunade had engaged in light conversation with Naruto, while Sakura kept to herself. It still astounded her sometimes, the familiarity with which her master and Naruto talked to each other. When the gray-haired Junin walked in, both blondes glared at him and Sakura let out a small amount of king intent. Kakashi, let me get one thing straight. I want you on time from now on, or I will demote you. I've let you have your way for quite a while now and you haven't shown any sign of improving on your own. I'll start small at first. For every 10 minutes you're late, I say a page out of your book. Understood. Kakashi could only nod his head dumbly. The third had never been so harsh. He'd rather be demoted to genin again than have someone tear his precious book apart. Tsunade took his silence as consent and carried on. As you all read, this is a B rank mission. You are to infiltrate a small fort that the Sound have set up right inside our borders and either get information or destroy it outright. There are at least 3 Junin level ninjas there, several Chunin, and some genin. As always, do not assume that this information is accurate. Act with caution. Naruto. Yes. Try to use some of that newfound intelligence that Sanosuke was talking about. I'll try. Kakashi, you should all leave as soon as possible. Dismissed. The 3 made their way to the door and Naruto turned when he heard Tsunade call him. He noticed she had an odd glint in her eye and a smirk on her face. Take that hunk of metal with you and see how much damage you can cause. I hope that you 3 get to demolish the place. Naruto grinned and gave her a cheesy thumbs up. Don't worry Bar-chan. Since when has there ever been a mission involving me where S didn't go boom? Naruto didn't have to take long to get his pack and head to the assigned gate. He had snagged his hammer on the way out of the tower and was idly twirling it in the air like a baton while waiting for his 2 teammates. He sighed as he continued to twirl the hammer and got bored with that quickly. It was good dexterity training but he tired of it due to a lack of interest. He didn't want to start a kata since there was no telling when his teammates would show up and he couldn't just stand there bored. Bad S happened when he was bored. When Sakura and Kakashi showed up, they were greeted with quite a sight. Naruto was oblivious to them as he balanced his huge war hammer on his nose while humming a tune. He had garnered quite a crowd of children at this point who were astonished that he could do such a thing. Sakura frowned and shooed the children away, who glared at her for ruining their fun. She smirked at their antics and turned her attention to the blonde who was still ignoring her and Kakashi. Naruto, quit clowning around and let's go. We've got a long way to go. Naruto let the hammer fall into his hand and swung it to his back with ease. He looked at his teammates with boredom all over his face. Can we go now? I've been waiting here forever it seems. They took off with Kakashi in the lead, Sakura in the middle, and Naruto behind. They ran all day and made camp before dark. Sakura and Kakashi, finally having Naruto to themselves, decided to get a straight answer out of him. Naruto was just inside the glow of the fire, going through his katas slowly with his hammer. Kakashi decided to start things off. So Naruto, how did you actually get that hammer? Naruto never faltered in his stance while he answered their questions. I already told you. Kami gave it to me. What's up with your eyes? Kami changed them. Did Kami give you anything else? Boosted my intelligence. Sakura snorted and he stopped in mid-stance, frozen. Please don't scoff at me Sakura. I don't belittle you, so don't belittle me. We're teammates, let's try to act like it. Why are you acting all high and mighty all of a sudden? Did that date with Tenten go to your head? Trust me Naruto, she's nothing to get excited over. The next thing Kakashi and Sakura knew there was a flash of red between them and the tree behind them exploded into splinters. Sakura had a look of pure horror on her face and Kakashi's unseen mouth was open. Both shook with unbridled fear. Naruto stood still, his hammer no longer in his hands. He might have been stone still, but his eyes told a different story. Don't talk about Tenten like that, Sakura. I won't have it. He stepped between the two shocked ninja and retrieved his hammer, before walking back across the small clearing and plopping down on the other side of the fire. They could see his eyes and they burned with righteous indignation. Listen to me, you two. I am Kami's own shinobi. I am here to find a tainted and evil soul and send them to divine judgment. I nearly SD that day I fought Sasuke and I met Kami while I was out. I've had some weird happen to me in my life, but that took the cake. I have a huge hammer, sparkles in my eyes, and an angel for a friend. I've given up on Sasuke as a person and I don't believe that we should pursue him anymore. But Sasuke is an ass. He left us, Sakura. I've realized that now. I won't pursue him, but if we run into him, I will K him. You can have him back when he's good and S. So you're breaking your promise to me. No. The promise was I'd bring him back. Never said alive. Kakashi narrowed his eyes at his blonde student. That's cold, Naruto. Especially for you. I don't know who you think you've been talking to, but the Naruto I knew wasn't like this to his comrades. Like how? Truthful. The truth hurts, Kakashi, but it doesn't hurt me. Sometimes I wonder why in the hell we were all put together on your team. We were a mismatched team, we had no preordained goal. We couldn't track, we couldn't infiltrate, we weren't frontline material, we couldn't strategize. What purpose was there for putting us three together, except for having Sasuke graduate? He wouldn't have meshed well with anyone else, so why not put him with his biggest fangirl and the one boy he hated above all others? That's not true. What's not? That he hated me. He stuck a Chidori through my chest. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. If that's not hate, I don't want to see what he does to people he hates. It would be horrible, I'm sure. Kakashi breathed deeply and turned to Sakura. What do you think, Sakura? About Naruto's new goals? I think they're a bunch of crap. This isn't the Naruto I know. Naruto narrowed his eyes and stood up. I'll take first watch. Don't worry about this new Naruto. After this mission, I'm going to ask Bar-chan for a transfer to another team. We obviously don't get along anymore. My views and yours don't mesh. Kakashi, I'm following your lead this last time, so don't F up. Hold on, Naruto, let's not be hasty. I don't want you to transfer and neither does Sakura. We care about you. Naruto rounded on the both of them, his blue eyes blazing. Oh, you care, huh? I was watching after that battle, you know. I saw everything. The two of you picked me up like so much common garbage, no words said, and trudged back to Konoha. You didn't check on my condition, you didn't do anything. Just drag the dumbass back until he's healed so we can make another pass at the Uchiha. Well, I'm sick of it. After this mission, I'm gone. And those Otonin better pray that you vote not to destroy that base. Why? Because I'll destroy them all. Anyone who follows Orochimaru is a bad person in my book. Besides, I need to test my hammer out in battle. Naruto crouched down in the tree line, waiting for his signal to begin. There were several more ninjas in that base than they had been initially told. All the better for him, it was one more thing he could deal with to iron the stress out. His thoughts went to Tenten suddenly. He had left without leaving a note or saying goodbye. She was going to be pissed at him. Maybe Sanosuke had been kind enough to tell her for him. Nah, that angel had a sadistic streak. He probably wanted to watch Naruto get berated by the bun-haired beauty. A sudden crackle over his earpiece let him know it was his flaw. Naruto was supposed to open up the dance floor and clear out some space. He obliged by rushing in and obliterating a wall with his hammer before crushing the Chunin guard beside him. Leaping over the now destroyed wall, he landed lightly in the courtyard with his hammer on his shoulder, looking at all the Otonin that surrounded him. He could hear the whispers about his hammer and they made him feel good. He'd get to test himself well here. The Otonins were wary of this boy who had jumped into their base. He was toting a hammer that weighed several times what he did and seemed to have no problem throwing it around. Deciding that he was very scared, the Junin stepped forward to deal with the pest. The report had been misleading again. There were 7 Junin. Naruto's eyes narrowed. He hadn't expected that many. Hopefully, Kakashi and Sakura were taking care of the rest. Without another word, Naruto launched himself at the nearest Junin. It became a true dance for him after that as he began weaving in and out of the small throng, thrusting and swinging, pivoting and twirling. He had ked 2 Chunin off the bat with a well-placed swing, and 1 Junin had been crushed under his hammer, his ribs broken, puncturing his lungs and heart. But soon the battle began to take its toll and Naruto had to take to hiding to catch his breath. It was while he sat behind a destroyed section of wall, that he heard them shouting around him, searching for him. It would only be a matter of time before they found him. He winced and stared at his right arm again. It had been hurting since he started the fight and it showed no signs of slowing down. It was a dull ache and he couldn't place what had made it start hurting. He didn't need any distractions right now and this wasn't helping. He needed to end this little fiasco quickly. Damn it, where the hell were Sakura and Kakashi? He was answered when an explosion went off and half of the base was torn apart. Exploding tags were a shinobi's best friends for demolition. Thank God most of the forces had been wiped out in the blast. Now all he had to contend with was 1 Junin. Unfortunately, it seemed he was the best Junin out of the bunch. The Oto Junin was furious. He had been assigned to set up this base just inside Fire Country and was assured that there would be little resistance. Everything had gone wrong and now he had this blonde brat in front of him who had taken out his best men. The fact that he was swinging that hammer around like a rubber mallet was disturbing to say the least. It seemed the kid relied on the hammer, so the best way to beat him was to make him drop it. Yeah, that was the best course of action. The Junin leapt at Naruto, intent on taking his weapon away. Naruto watched the ninja come at him and fell into his stance, hammer behind, left leg and hand forward, ready for any attack. When the Junin went for a punch, is when Naruto began his sly dance. He thrust his palm out at the other man's chest and the nin leapt back, only to be met with the force of Naruto's hammer, swinging by him. A smirk crossed the Junin's face until he felt tear and looked down to see a shallow wound across his chest. He'd forgotten about the spike on the end. Wouldn't make that mistake again. Naruto kept weaving in and out of the man's guard, a thrust here, a swipe there, swing down with the hammer. He made a tactical mistake in going for a downward strike and the Junin took advantage immediately, kicking Naruto in the jaw and sending him flying. Naruto skidded along the ground before rolling backwards and righting himself. He wiped the blood off his cheek and glared at the Junin, who stood triumphantly atop his hammer. So boy, what now? You don't have your weapon, you're powerless. You Konoha nin are all the same. Take away your favorite toy and you're like a little child again. Lord Orochimaru was right in trying to destroy the leaf. Hearing the word Orochimaru made Naruto's blood boil. He crouched low to the ground and made the sign for Kage Bunshin. Immediately, 10 Narutos filled the area, the silver stars in their eyes shining. You'll find that I am far from useless without my weapon. I don't like your master and as far as I'm concerned, your vocal support of him has sealed your doom. Farewell, fool, I'll see your trip is quick, but certainly not painless. All the Narutos formed Razingans and charged the Junin on all sides. He never knew what hit him and neither did the surrounding area. He left no signs of life. Kakashi and Sakura had watched the fight from afar for a while before setting off the tags. It was awe-inspiring to watch Naruto use that hammer against so many opponents and yet, he moved with a fluid grace that belied the unwieldy weapon. When he had begun to finish his opponents off more quickly, they moved to blow the base up. The blonde was a good distraction with that hammer. They'd need to do everything they could to keep him on their team. They took to the high ground again and watched as Naruto decimated the Oto Junin. He was ruthless, efficient, and sly. They had never seen him act like that before. 9 Narutos popped out of existence, leaving an exhausted blonde. He trudged toward his hammer and picked it up lethargically, before turning toward the direction his teammates were in. Kakashi, Sakura, hurry up and finish the job. Blow this place to hell. I'll be waiting for you just outside. He walked just a half-mile away and sat against a tree, gritting his teeth. The pain in his arm was back full force and didn't seem to want to go away. It had gone from a dull throb to a full-blown tearing pain, like his muscles were going to explode. He just bore the pain and waited for his team. A huge mushroom cloud and resounding explosion sounded the end of the Oto base and within minutes he heard the footsteps of Sakura and Kakashi. He stood and swung his hammer to his shoulder and followed them without a word. Sakura and Kakashi kept glancing back at Naruto with worried looks on their faces. He seemed to be in pain and kept clutching his right arm, but they hadn't seen him injured in the fight. Hell, he hadn't gotten injured at all. Besides that one blow, the Otonins never touched him. They had made camp several miles away from where the base had been and Kakashi offered to take first watch. Naruto didn't say anything, but fell into a fitful sleep, oblivious to the worried looks on Kakashi's and Sakura's faces. In Naruto's dream he stood beside the fox at its full strength and he was dwarfed. It was massive and scary and he knew it would kill him in a heartbeat. But the Kyuubi didn't make a move to hurt him. It simply glared and snarled and gnashed its teeth, but it wouldn't attack. He couldn't, for the life of him, imagine why it just stood there. Thinking it was safe for the moment, he turned to glance around and heard a loud clink. His gaze drifted downward and that's when he noticed the chain around his ankle running to the Kyuubi's. So this is what Kami must have meant when she said, "Fetted together." Indeed, brat. As unsettling as it is, we are chained together. I was nearly free of you, but you had to go and screw that up as well. I'd have been much happier in hell than living in your disgusting body. Well, excuse me for following the direction of the almighty Kami. This is your punishment after all for being evil. Every being has evil, boy. Even you. You just choose not to act on it. I am curious about your new attire though. If you loathe me so much, why carry my image with such pride? It's to remind me of what you are and what I am. And what, exactly, is that? I am the yang to your yin, just as you are the yin to my yang. We cancel each other out, but we both possess a small amount of each other in our souls. I know you were there, watching and listening, when I met Kami. How couldn't you be listening? You're inside me. We are connected, against our will, by the will of another. I can't separate myself from you, so why not be proud of the fact that I am the container of the most powerful beast? You are proud that I reside in you. Naruto narrowed his eyes and smirked. I am proud that I have the strength to hold back the Kyuubi like a rat in a cage. What a weakling you have become. The Kyuubi bared its fangs and roared in anger. Foolish mortal. Rest assured that when I will go to hell and I shall seek you out. I will taste your F in the next life. Kami will not save you there. Silly fox. If you can't break our bond here, what makes you think you can defeat me there? My will powers the seal, my power itself feeds the seal. If you can't even defeat my body's natural defenses from the inside, what makes you think you can take me head on in a fight? Experience counts for a lot, mortal. True, I may not be able to battle you head on since your power is at least equal to mine, but I am old and wise, and I am crafty. Ingenuity counts for a lot in the midst of battle. Have you forgotten, Kyuubi? I am also a master of tactics in mid-battle. The playing field is more even than you think. When we fight, and it will be when and not if mortal, we will see who is the better. What are you doing? Proving to you that I can hold you with my power. The Kyuubi watched, amused, as Naruto began to yank strands of hair out of his head and began to weave them together into a rope. Once his task was finished, Naruto tied one end of the rope to the cuff around his ankle and one end to the ankle of Kyuubi. Looking up into the eyes of the Kyuubi, he smiled grimly. Now to prove that the seal is not the only thing holding you in. My power and belief in what is right are the seal. The squiggly lines are just a conductor. Grasping the links that connected the chain to the cuffs, he pulled and the links shattered, the chain clinking to the ground. The Kyuubi grinned maliciously and roared with laughter. Foolish child, you have broken the bonds that held us together. Now watch as I flee this pitiful prison. The Kyuubi made to leap out of the seal but came plummeting back down to earth beside Naruto. He stood and shook himself, glaring at the boy who stood with his arms crossed. What trickery is this? Your hairs can't possibly be stronger than a chain. My hairs alone, no. My hairs imbued with my resolve and my dedication to keep you jailed, yes. You're here to stay, Kyuubi. Now shut up before I put a muzzle on you. Kyuubi flung himself about in defiance, desperately trying to free himself of the golden rope, but found himself flung back into his cage and the seal positioned again over the crack in the door. Naruto smirked and sat back down in the filthy water, looking at the glowing blue chain visible on the floor below. Sakura and Kakashi hadn't slept a wink all night. They sat and watched as Naruto's face contorted into all manner of ghastly forms and sweat poured from him like a river. Sakura had ran a diagnostic jutsu over him and found absolutely nothing wrong. Whatever was happening to him was all in his mind. And who could fathom the mind of a Jinchuriki? Perhaps he was arguing with the fox again. Only when he awoke would they be able to tell. Kakashi hadn't opened his book since Naruto went to sleep. His eyes were riveted to the sleeping form of Naruto, but his mind was elsewhere. Where had he gone wrong with his blonde student? He hadn't been the best teacher, he'd admit to that, but they were his first team. Why wasn't he cut any slack? Besides being his first team, they were the most powerful ninjas since the Sannin. And yet, history repeated itself. Sasuke became the next Orochimaru, a traitor of the highest caliber. Sakura became the next Tsunade, complete with temper and awesome medical skill. And Naruto became the next Jiraiya, an all-around ninja who could do nearly anything he set his mind to. The boy seemed to be invincible, bouncing back from things that would send normal people into insanity. He shook his head. Why hadn't he been a better teacher? Sakura's eyes were threatening to close, but every time she was on the verge of sleeping, Naruto did something to make her eyes snap back open. She kept thinking over and over about his declaration of quitting the team. Had she and Kakashi been so bad? Sure, they reprimanded him when he did something stupid, but other than that, what had they done? I mean, sure, she had hit him on occasion and Kakashi hadn't really taught them anything, but other than that, they were a good team. Right, she sighed and brought her knees up to rest her chin on. Maybe things weren't as peachy as she made them out to be. She and Kakashi depended heavily on Naruto whether they wanted to admit it or not. She was shaken out of her thoughts when Naruto's body started to glow a blue hue. They watched as the blue glow began to center around his arms and shoulders, before a bright white light filled the clearing, and when they looked again, Naruto's arms were covered in chains that started with a cuff on his left wrist, wrapped around his arm, across his shoulders to the right arm, and flowed down to connect at the end of the handle of his hammer that lay beside him. There was no part of his arms that weren't covered with chain, and yet, it didn't seem to be uncomfortable to him. They continued to stare at him slack-jawed, when he woke and stretched while yawning. He cracked his N and looked at his astonished teammates through bleary eyes. What? Sakura couldn't really think of anything to say, so she just pointed to his arms. He looked down and flexed his arms, waving them this way and that, listening to the clinking and clanking as the links banged together. Wondering if this was another one of his gifts, he turned sheepishly to his teammates and grinned. Believe me now. Two heads nodded an affirmative. The rest of the trip back home was spent in relative silence as Naruto tried out his mobility with the hammer and chain, while Sakura and Kakashi ran the trip's events through their minds. They had questions that demanded answers when they got back. Once they were checked in at the gate, Kakashi took off to report to Tsunade and try to plead with her not to listen to Naruto's demands. Sakura, however, was trying to convince Naruto to talk to her. He wasn't having it. Come on, Naruto, just talk to me. I want to know what's going on. Damn it, Sakura, I've already told you what's going on. Kami blesses me with powers when I'm ready. Last night was just another gift coming into play, although I could do without the dreams that accompany them. What dreams? Tell me. I'm going to find Tenten. I'll see you if I see you. Naruto wandered around Konoha, trying to ignore the people that were staring at him even more intently than before. His life was going to be more interesting than ever. He definitely stood out with his outfit and hammer, but now with chains adorning his arms, clinking as he walked, he was quite an attraction. He could only hope Sanosuke would explain this gift, because he really didn't see a need for it. Deciding that his hunger was getting the better of him, he began to trek toward Ichiraku's until he heard a voice he was beginning to get very familiar with. Suddenly afraid, he turned his head and tried to make himself as inconspicuous as possible. He knew he should have told her he was leaving. Uzumaki Naruto. No denying it. Tenten was pissed at him. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.